Right, so at the moment we've got a stripy gate here made of T&G floorboarding, and I've glued it all together, and then I've individually painted the rails. I've got one more rail to cut to make, and I've filled the gaps such as they are, top, bottom and both sides, with wood filler, which I'm going to then sand back, and that will get another coat of red oxide primer before I start the coats of undercoat. Keep the weather out of the gate. So it's been undercoated once with red oxide primer. It's been filled. I've sanded it. I've brushed it down. I've wiped it down with methylated spirits, and now it's going to get another coat of red oxide primer. There, that's one side and all the edges painted. The beautiful thing about this red oxide stuff is how quickly it goes off. You can see it's already starting to dry. It's only been on there a couple of minutes. I can already rub my finger on it and nothing comes off. So it's good stuff, and it means that I can paint the thing flat, and I always like to do that. You get fewer runs and issues like that, and I'll be able to flip it over in about an hour's time, I think, and then do the other side. So, see you later. Now with the gate, I've made a nice new top rail for it, giving it a bit of a plane and a sand to round the edges. It needs a little bit of filler because there's a knot, I don't know if you can see it just there. And pristine and lovely with its two coats of oxide primer. As this gate looks, there is still one or two little bits where the filler's not quite managed to do its job, so I'm going to add a little bit more, a little bit over here as well, and on both sides, and I will sand it before it gets its grey undercoat. And there it is, stripy again, with the very last bit, the scrapings of my last wood filler. I'll have to get some more. But it's done the job, and I've done it both sides, so we'll sand it back again and give it its first coat of grey undercoat after that. We're back to the gate, and it's had two coats of primer. It's been filled and sanded back twice now. There will still be another opportunity to fill and sand if it's necessary, but the next step, having brushed it down, is to wipe it with meths and then give it a coat of grey undercoat. There, well, that's dried rather nicely in the space of a couple of hours, so I'll give the flip side of it a coat as well. It'll be dry by tea time. And there we are, almost complete. I'll just finish this off. I've done the edges, so they've already had two coats. You do tend to get a little bit of a ridge there when you do these things flat, but that'll sand off really easily when I give it the first sanding. And also, as I said, I do get another opportunity to fill. So things like this, there's a little pinhole there, I don't know if you can see it there, and that thing will disappear. I want it as smooth as I can possibly get it, so that when I gloss, the whole thing will look smooth and shiny. And there we go. And that'll be dry by tea time. It will go away and stand up overnight and be ready to sand tomorrow. Okay, so I've built another gate and painted it, and this one has had two coats of red oxide primer, two coats of mid-grey, two coats of dark grey undercoat, And so far 3 coats of gloss thinned down to 75% paint and 25% terps. Now I'm going to break up this beautiful surface once again with a sanding sponge and give it one more coat. After I finish sanding it, I shall brush it down and then wipe it down with methylated spirits and paint it once again. So, with apologies to those of you who've seen this process before, here's the brush down. Just get rid of the bigger pieces of detritus and dust. And then a wipe down with this methylated spirits, which evaporates to nearly nothing in seconds. And you can see when I wipe it down, it cleans it beautifully so that there's nothing getting into the paint, but the surface remains keyed. And now the actual painting takes place. I'm using a 2-inch Hamilton brush, and as I've said, the paint is mixed 25% terps, so it's nice and thin, and then we put it on gently, and this is its 4th coat of gloss. And there we are, coated again. This is the 4th coat now. I might leave it at that. I'd like to do 10, but I've got it done before it's got dark anyway, and by morning this will be nice and dry. It dries very quickly when you thin the paint down, and it should be ready for me to fit the hinges to it. So there we go, another gate. That's got the hinges fitted on the gate. Had to touch up the paintwork here and there as well, where the bolts moved. But it's not bad. A couple more coats on the outside face, and I think we'll be there.